Now, let's take a look at how to become a better listener. Now that we have learned about the 6 stages of listening purposes and the importance of active listening, let us consider ways to improve our listening skills so that we can communicate to others that they have our attention and care while also carefully evaluating messages. In conversations, it is important to think about how our nonverbal and verbal feedback shows our support for the other person. When we are listening for comprehension and evaluation, we also need to carefully consider how we are processing messages and providing clear feedback that will be helpful to others. Think back to a recent conversation when you felt heard. What did you what did your speaking partners do to make you feel heard and understood? Did they nod their heads, verbalize feedback, restate what you said, or ask questions? What specific verbal and nonverbal feedback methods were used to acknowledge your message and connection? Perhaps they used some of the following nonverbal practices. Nonverbal feedback includes all of the ways that we show our attention and support for the speaker or lack thereof through our body while we are listening to others. Expectations for which types of nonverbal behaviors are most appropriate vary by culture and context. So it's very important to consider the situation and the audience when thinking about how to respond nonverbally. In the United States, or the context in the United States, the following nonverbal interactions are seen as supportive listening behaviors. And this is according to Brody and several other authors. First is focused body language. When listening to someone, use your physical body as a tool to show that you are paying attention to the person that's talking. Face the speaker, look like you are engaged, and remove any distractions that might pull your attention away, such as cell phones, laptops, books. These are all ways that you can use body language to show interest in what is being said. In some situations, leaning in, keeping an attentive but relaxed body position, and minimalizing small, unnecessary movements can also indicate focus and attention. The next tip is eye contact. Making and maintaining eye contact serves to connect us with a speaker or person and is an act of acknowledgement, attention, and is generally viewed as a sign of respect. It is important to note that social rules about eye contact vary across cultures. While eye contact works to connect us with the speaker, staring at a speaker is inappropriate and often makes others feel self conscious or just uncomfortable. So, how much eye contact is too much? For some of us, the feeling to look away after a few seconds of eye contact is something that we have learned and adapted through socialization in our families, neighborhoods, and schools. For others, particularly some individuals who are on the autism spectrum or who are more neurodiverse, learning how to adapt eye contact in interpersonal settings is a very intentional process that takes practice and sometimes professional interventions and support. The next tip is head nods. When used in moderation, nodding your head occasionally to indicate that you understand and are listening carefully to the speaker can be a form of feedback. But if used excessively, head nodding can be distracting or seem fake. While head nodding might be primarily focused on acknowledging what the speaker is saying, it is important to recognize that it might also be taken as a sign that you agree with what the speaker is saying. So you should be conscious of what messages you will appear to be agreeing with as you nod. Next is facial expressions. Your facial expressions are another way that you can show interest and attention as a listener. Facial expressions can show that you are engaged with the speaker and should reflect appropriate emotional responses to what the speaker is saying. For example, smiling when the speaker tells a joke can be a way to show that you found the joke funny and appreciated the humor. Or when you raise an eyebrow, you can communicate confusion or crinkling your nose can indicate disgust. So be mindful of your facial expressions. Last tip is take notes. One of the best ways to help yourself remember what you are trying to learn and to show someone you are paying attention is simple. Take notes. Note taking is a complex task that requires you to understand what is being said. Summarize it quickly in your own words and keep track of how the ideas fit together. Due to this complex cognitive work, note taking helps you remember information better for two reasons. The recording function of note taking means that you have written record to remind you of what you've learned, and the encoding function means that you are more likely to remember the material because the note taking process helps embedded the information better in your memory, whether or not you look at the notes again.